Happy almost George Washington's birthday, which, as you probably know, is on February 22nd. It wasn't originally because they changed the calendar, but we don't care. Anyway, I'm making in his honor a cherry pudding. And when I say pudding, I mean pudding cake, but you'll see. Anyway, let me tell you what I'm starting with, and then we'll talk about George Washington. We have here a small amount of butter and sugar. Not a lot of sugar, but there'll be more sugar later. That's about as creamed as that's going to get. It's just a small amount, so it will be all right, I promise. Here I have the contents of 1 can of tart cherries. Warning, do not use cherry pie filling or you will not get the recipe right. I drained it and I saved the liquid in the can. If we were like in the summer, we could probably have fresh cherries, but we don't, so we're using canned cherries. Okay. This is a pretty simple recipe, which is the kind of recipe I love. So we're taking some flour and some baking powder and salt and some cinnamon. And we're sifting those together. Just make sure they get kind of mixed up. There we go. Not complicated. Now, they're going to get added to our butter sugar mixture alternately with a little bit of milk. Here I go. So, as you probably know, George Washington allegedly, and I really mean allegedly, when he was 6 years old, chopped down his father's cherry tree with his toy hatchet and then confessed to the deed because he was such an honest child. However, it turns out that that wasn't really true. Even so, there were cherry trees at Mount Vernon, his home, and it's a nice thing to think about. It's nice to think that we had a president, I'm not saying anything about recent presidents, no comments here, who could not tell a lie. But there are 1 or 2 politicians in this world who can tell lies. Okay, here we go. A little more of this, a little more of that. I'm speeding it up. You probably want to do this a little bit gradually. There we go. It's interesting to me, this recipe came from a woman named Jane Montgomery who lived in Newton, and she entered it in our Pudding Hollow pudding contest in Hawley. There's no egg, but it still works somehow. Oops, there's a little flour everywhere, but we don't care. Okay, not too complicated, right? And a little vanilla. You could use almond extract, but we're using vanilla. Now this is a little bit tricky, but not terribly so. We put this on top. Let's see if I can position it so you can actually see it going in. I do have my oven preheated, by the way, to 375. There we go. Sorry about the banging. Pretend it's George Washington chopping with his axe. Okay. Good enough. So what we do now is we spread this out. Maybe I'll use my patriotic spatula. And I'm going to use my fingers because it's not easy to spread. And it doesn't have to be completely covering the cherries, but it should cover them as much as it can. And then we throw on a little brown sugar. I told you there was more sugar coming. It actually feels like a lot of brown sugar, but there, brown sugar. And finally, I know this looks like a mess, but it turns out all right, or at least we hope it will. We pour the cherry juice on top. I know, it looks weird, but I'm putting it in my oven, and I'll see you in 45 minutes when it comes out. So it just came out of the oven. It was exactly 45 minutes. I was right. And it smells really good, and we're all going to enjoy it, my guests and I. So remember George Washington? He had his faults, don't we all? But he did resign at the right time, and that's pretty impressive. So happy Washington's birthday, everybody, and have a little pudding. Bye.